Jack, were you saying that you think he hit a spike strip? And the driver appears to be losing control after possibly hitting a set of driver's side wheel may also be giving out. So it may have been an effective spike strip here from the Riverside Sheriff's Department. You can see the vehicle who had been traveling at approximately 90 to 100 miles an hour, now significantly reducing his speed here on the southbound 215. There are at least 10 police vehicles behind the suspect, in addition to a helicopter and a plane from the Riverside Sheriff's Department. You can see sparks flying. The wheel completely gone there in the rear, just down to the rim here. Losing control. I'm going to zoom out here because we may see the suspect lose control entirely here on the southbound 215. Two armed and dangerous suspects, possibly robbery suspects, who may have also been wanted for assault with a deadly weapon. Again, that's two suspects believed to be in this older model black SUV. And this pursuit here may be coming to an end. Now we're in Murrieta, so still southbound 215, now in the Murrieta area. A pursuit that started about 45 minutes ago at this point, continuing here but at very slow speeds. Coming up on Antelope Road right now. Let me widen out the shot here just a bit, about 20 miles an hour here. This is a pursuit that we first heard about thanks to one of our viewers who contacted us on Twitter's. That was Inland Basin Scanner. So we, of course, thank you, him, and whenever you can tip us off to something that is going on in your neighborhood, we, of course, appreciate that so that we can bring you coverage of what is going on in your own backyard. And this pursuit, we first picked it up once it was near the March Air Force Base, rather. But continuing here on the southbound 215, we know that the Riverside Sheriff's Department had put out a number of spike strips ahead of where they believe that the suspect may be heading to, and fortunately it looks like one of those spike strips was effective. And that rear tire on the driver's side, we can see it here clearly, sparks flying, the wheel completely gone down to the rim, and that front driver's side wheel also about to go completely out as well. I can see that it's about to go flying here in the next few minutes. In terms of the other side of the vehicle, I think that's the only thing that's keeping him going. I think that he may still have the two tires on the passenger side of the car, but in terms of the tires on the driver's side, those are gone. This pursuit won't be going on for much longer here in Murrieta. Again, southbound 215 freeway, just coming up to Antelope with at least 10 vehicles from the Riverside Sheriff's Department in pursuit. We also have a helicopter above, a plane as well. The California Highway Patrol has been notified of this pursuit, but they have not been asked to take over. So it still is the primary agency that initially tried to pull over these suspects, but they failed to yield and carried on. We believe that it is two male suspects, armed suspects at that. So when this pursuit comes to an end, you will see the officers treat this with great caution. They're going to treat this very gingerly and take as much time as necessary to make sure that they take these two individuals into custody without anybody else getting hurt. They were described over the police scanner as possible robbery suspects, but they may also be wanted for assault with a deadly weapon. It's unclear if that is the weapon that they're armed with or perhaps even their vehicle. So of course, this is a developing situation. We always follow up on all of our pursuits here on NBCLA to let you know what happens after the pursuit. This one will be no exception. We will, of course, continue to gather information. I know that back in Universal City. My assignment desk is continuing to make calls to the police department to gather additional information on these suspects as they make a U-turn here on the freeway, heading back in the direction of the officers. This is going to be one of the on-ramps though, so going the wrong way on the on-ramp. Here's a unit coming up. We may see a pit maneuver. It may come out here on the other side. Sure enough, here it is, just off of Clinton Keith Road. Pit maneuver going into place. There you go. Gonna push him right into the wall, and this pursuit has come to a stop. After about nope, never mind. I spoke too soon. The driver is going to try to keep going, gonna reverse and gonna try, there you go, right into the officers. Now that is going to be a charge for assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer. So just adding on to the charges that the suspect was already going to have, you can add one more right there. And the pursuit continuing now on Clinton Keith Road, coming up to McLuhan Road here in Murrieta. Continuing to drive very erratically, wrong side of the road. You see all of the other cars, they're going the right way. And here comes this guy with barely any tires left, coming right at them. You see the units from the police department moving back into place. They might try yet another pit maneuver here. Let's see what they do as the suspect attempts to get back onto the freeway. Trying to get back onto the 215 freeway from Clinton Keith Road, but the officers have had enough. They're gonna try to pit him yet again, but yet again the suspect's able to drive out of it. Incredible. Again, this all happening in Murrieta here on the southbound 215 freeway. This car is holding on with every little bit that it's got, but it looks like it may not have much more. And yet again, proving me wrong, making yet another turn right in front of the officers, but continuing to lose control. That's not smoke that you're seeing. It looks like it's dirt, I believe, unless this car's now starting to catch fire. That's definitely a possibility here. The pursuit, though, continuing on. I'm hearing additional information there on the scanner. Just like we thought, they're going to tack on a charge of assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer. I just heard them say that. Already wanted for being armed suspects, possible robbery suspects. You can see what the driver's trying to do. Oh, there you go. Sparks flying. I was trying to use my infrared to see if I could show you a better image there of the driver, but from my vantage point, I can see that they are holding on to the steering wheel, trying to not lose control, but it's going to be very difficult when all you have left is one tire. All of the other wheels are gone down to the rim on at least three, I would say. Three of those tires now completely gone after a very effective spike strip on the 215 freeway near Antelope, and the pursuit continuing on at slow speeds on the southbound 215 after two failed pit maneuver attempts by the Riverside Sheriff's Department. Again, we're on the freeway. The CHP could join in the mix if necessary, but at this point, they're only being notified of what is going on in the Murrieta area as the pursuit continues here, southbound 215 at Clinton Keith Road. Now I'm just going to take about 15-30 seconds to just say a few words about this pursuit in Spanish for our sister station Telemundo. As soon as we're done, we'll resume our broadcast in English, or if we see something extraordinarily dramatic, we will resume the broadcast in English as well. Estamos volando en el helicóptero sobre la ciudad de Murrieta, donde el departamento de sheriffs del condado de Riverside está persiguiendo a dos sospechosos que están adentro de este vehículo. Los dos sospechosos están armados y son dos personas que son buscadas en conexión con un robo que ocurrió en el área de Riverside. La persecución sigue aquí en la autopista 210 en dirección sur, cerca de la salida de la calle Clinton Keith Road. El vehículo ya casi está destruido. Le faltan 3 de las 4 llantas, pero de todos modos sigue corriendo a velocidades bastante despacias, considerando lo rápido que estaba manejando durante cuando esta persecución empezó. Aproximadamente hace 45 minutos, el vehículo estaba volando en la autopista aproximadamente a 90 hasta 100 millas por hora, pero ahora ha bajado la velocidad a aproximadamente 15 a 20 millas por hora a causa de que ha perdido 3 de las 4 llantas. Les repito, esta persecución continúa aquí en la autopista 215 en la área de Marietta. Reportando desde el helicóptero, yo soy Eliana Moreno, Telemundo 52. And back with you guys in English. We just wanted to say a few words for our sister station, Telemundo, to make sure that we're able to reach as many of our viewers as possible and let them know what is going on here in the Marietta area. The pursuit continuing here on the southbound 215 freeway, coming up to Scott Road, using that center lane there to get by. And for the most part, it looks like the driver has been able to get a little bit more control over the vehicle after we saw some dramatic moves there after the police department attempted not one but 2 pit maneuvers. I personally thought it was over because the car was at a complete stop up against a wall, and somehow the suspects found the energy to keep going, and they're continuing here, not dramatically fast, just about 15 to 20 miles an hour here on the southbound 215 freeway. Again, Scott Road's going to be the nearest exit because the vehicle isn't traveling that fast. It's taking a little longer to get up to the next exit. Still here in the Menifee area, so we're kind of straddling the areas of Marietta and Menifee. This particular SUV actually comes back to the area of Ontario. So when we first heard about this pursuit, we thought that the pursuit was going to end in that direction. And for a while, the suspect was traveling that way. He went on the northbound 215 freeway and then made his way over to the 60 westbound, so heading over towards the Ontario area. However, he was involved in a traffic accident with another car, and it was after that that the suspect decided to go back in the direction that he had come, which was southbound 215. We may be seeing the suspect exit here, maybe Scott Road here, again in the Menifee area. So I'll widen out the shot here so that we can see whether the driver goes left or right here at the end of the off-ramp, or decides to turn around randomly like we have seen before. Okay, 10-4. He exited at Scott. They're going to go eastbound Scott. You see the vehicle is smoking a little bit, so you can see that the driver really losing control here in the middle of the intersection. That's Scott with a cross of Antelope, and going to lead him right to an officer who started to move, but it looks like he wasn't sure whether he should attempt to do a pit maneuver. And now the vehicle moving towards, again, Antelope and Scott are going to be the nearest majors. I'll show you where he's at. It's basically a shopping center. So I don't know if this is perhaps an area that the suspect is familiar with, or it was just a good area to pull off. But he's essentially right under us, so I'll try not to spin the camera as he comes right under us. My pilot, David, doing a great job of flying us here in this pursuit. There are 2 other police aircraft here. We have a helicopter from the police department, as well as a plane that are over the scene. And now you see the driver. It looks like he didn't really intend to get into that shopping center. He was just finding a way to get through this intersection, because it looks like there may be some construction here in the area. I do see some construction cones. I'm going to widen out the shot here for just a second. I don't want to have the car go directly under us, because sometimes when it does that, the camera will spin. So we don't want to lose our images here of this pursuit that continues here now on a little road called Antelope Road. It's right off the freeway. So it runs just parallel to the freeway. So we're still in the area of the 215 freeway, still in the Menifee area. And it looks like the car has a little bit more juice left here. It looks like he's picking up speed just a touch as the police officer gets right behind him. It looks like he's getting in a position to do a pit maneuver, so we may be seeing that here in the next few seconds. He's just trying to find the perfect spot, the perfect speed. He can't have any other vehicles around when he tries this, but it may not be necessary if this car just comes to a stop. And nope, Gonna continue on instead, Antelope Road with a cross of Scott Road in Menifee. 10-4, he's 9 o'clock right now. Coordinating here with my pilot David. Again, it's a delicate dance up here when it comes to the aircraft that are in the area, so we want to make sure that we're out of their way, but of course continue to bring you the best images. There's something that went flying. It may have been a portion of the tire, so now he's almost to a I was gonna say he's almost to a crawl here on Antelope Road, but then he finds a little bit more energy to keep going. Continuing here, Antelope Road with a cross of Garbini Road in the Menifee area. He's going to be right under us here for just a second, so you'll see me widen out the shot. David, it'll be kind of like 11 o'clock. You see the 215 freeway there, and now roughly 3 o'clock. Yeah, just on the road that is next to the freeway. Okay, you got it perfect. And continuing here, Antelope Road with a cross of Garbini making his way through the intersection. There's the police helicopter that we've been talking about. The pilot in that helicopter, of course, also doing a great job of keeping tabs on this suspect. Sometimes it's difficult when a car is dark colored like this to follow it at night, especially when it doesn't have all of its lights. It makes it more difficult to keep track of where it is, but the helicopter pilot has not lost sight of the vehicle whatsoever during the entire course of this pursuit. And continuing here on a road through the Menifee area, it's Antelope Road, like Antelope Valley, but in Menifee. Antelope Road with a cross of Craig Avenue. You can see that really no tires left. I think there's one left on the passenger side, but in terms of the tires left on the driver's side, down to the rim. We've seen sparks fly. We've seen the driver lose control. There's some sparks right there as he makes a right-hand turn onto another street. And this actually will be Craig Avenue. We were just talking about it. He decided to turn onto it. Again, I don't know if the driver is familiar with this area because the car actually comes back to Ontario, which is significantly to our northwest. So we are still in the Menifee area. The nearest freeway will be the 215 freeway, which the suspect was just on, and he was on for a good while. And then, of course, we also heard that he got onto the 60 westbound at one point. And I should mention, when he was on the 60 westbound, he actually crashed with another car. And it was after, oh, here we go. We may have a suspect running. I'm going to stick with the driver. He's right here next to this home. I'll kick it into the infrared so that we don't lose track of him. He's right next to this home on Craig Avenue. You see the car there. You see the units nearby. I haven't seen him pop out just yet, but I'm going to widen out the shot because I want to find him if he's running away from that home. Here he is. He just ran across the street, continuing to try to get away. He appears to be shirtless and just wearing shorts and white socks and tennis shoes. So continuing to run here. We saw him run into the backyard of that first home and now running towards another home. We're still in the residential area just off of Antelope and Craig. I last saw him right there. He's jumping over another wall. North Crest Court with a cross of Parkdale Lane. North Crest Court and Parkdale Lane in Menifee. He's just on that side of that house there. We'll see if he pops back out. I widen out the shot because it gives me better a better view of where he is. He's right there by the back slider. Hopefully he's not trying to gain access into this home because the people inside obviously do not know this guy. This guy is considered to be armed and dangerous, and you see that there are units coming up right now. We have police officers on the front side of this home. They're ready to confront this suspect and take him into custody. Hopefully he goes into custody willingly, but the last location where we saw him was just under this overhang closest to the back portion of this home, right off of North Crest Court and Parkdale Lane. Additional units pulling up now. And the behavior of the officer that approaches the home will give me a good indication of whether or not they have this person in custody. He's right there just on the corner of the house. that is where we saw the first police officer run towards. So he may have the suspect there, or he may just be trying to approach carefully, knowing fully well that the last known location of this suspect was near this home in the backyard. I can see that a unit is pulling away. What they'll likely do is have that unit go to the next street over, so that if this suspect continues to hop over backyards, they will be able to take him into custody on the next street over. So the last location where we saw him was in this backyard. I'm gonna see if I can take a peek here and see if that slider is open. Yep, the slider is open. So exactly what we were hoping wouldn't happen is possibly what is happening. That slider was open. The suspect appears to have gotten access to the home by going into this home via the slider on the back portion of the home. I have not seen him come out, and that is the last location where we saw him. You see the police light overhead. That's not our light from the chopper. That's the police helicopter light still shining on the home where they last saw this suspect run into. You see units continuing to get into place, not only on the front side of the home, but also on the next street over, to try to corner this guy in. If he's in that house, this could become a barricaded suspect situation. They will bring additional units. They'll bring the SWAT team. They will bring police canine if need be. But at this point, they believe that they have him inside of this home here on Northmore Place with a cross of Greenview Way. Now I'm going to take just about 15, 20 seconds to just say a few words in Spanish for our sister station Telemundo, just to update everyone on what is happening in this pursuit. Estamos sobre Menifee. Esta es la calle Northmore Place, donde se junta con Greenview Way, y la persecución vehicular que les estábamos mostrando en la autopista 215 en Menifee ha terminado aquí en esta casa. El sospechoso que estaba manejando el vehículo lo abandonó en una calle llamada Craig y se echó a la fuga a pie, terminando adentro de esta casa que ven aquí. El sospechoso corrió hacia la parte trasera de la casa, abrió una puerta en la parte de atrás y se metió adentro de la casa. Les repito, esta casa está localizada en la calle Northmore Place, donde se junta con Greenview Way en la ciudad de Menifee. Al momento se desconoce si los dueños de la casa están adentro de la casa, pero el sospechoso está adentro, y como pueden ver, el departamento del condado de Sheriff de Riverside está en la escena, no solamente con sus patrullas justo afuera de la casa, pero también tienen al helicóptero sobre la escena. Nosotros seguiremos trayéndoles estas imágenes, pero por ahora desde Menifee, yo soy Eliana Moreno, Telemundo 52. And back in English, we continue our coverage here of this wild pursuit that ended here in Menifee, right off the 215 freeway in a residential area, Northmore Place with a cross of Greenview Way in Menifee. We saw the male suspect run to the backyard of this home. He picked it at random. He was jumping from one yard to another, ending up, though, in the backyard of this particular home, and unfortunately, it looks like he was able to gain access into the home via the rear slider. I'm going to push in here because I do see a flashlight there. I just want to make sure. Okay, sure enough, yeah. So exactly what we thought was happening is what's happening. We have units from the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, not only on the front side of the home, but they're surrounding this home from every direction. So they believe the suspect is inside. The last location where the airship saw him run in was this home. That is where we saw him as well from News Chopper 4 Alpha. I quickly punched in the infrared when the suspect started running away from the vehicle, and this is where we last saw him. And now give me just a moment. I need to communicate with my pilot, David Viskovich, about our fuel situation. 10-4. And Jack, we have about an hour, 60 minutes before we have to land somewhere here for fuel. Back with you guys here in News Chopper 4 Alpha. Again, I'm Eliana Marino, along with my pilot David Viskovich, and I'm going to push in here because I do see officers now in the backyard of this home. That is where we last saw the suspect. Last seeing him there under the overhang, and then I noticed that there was a glass slider that is open, so we believe that he may have gained access into the home via that rear slider in the backyard. This is a what appears to be a two-story home right off of the 215 freeway, actually, right off the 215 freeway, but it's in a residential area. There's a couple of streets here, North Crest Court. We've also got Greenview Way, and then we've got Northmore Place. I think the home itself is on Northmore Place. And give me just a moment, I'm going to communicate once again with our assignment desk. Go ahead, Jamie. There's one more, yeah. Yeah, it looks like it. Pardon me, Jamie, can you repeat? Let me ask. Jamie, the answer is they arrived after. After. Um, Back with you guys here, just taking care of a few housekeeping issues up here in the chopper. We continue to watch this pursuit termination that has now made its way to this home. We don't know if the owners of the home were home at the time when the suspect ran inside, but you can see that the police department is here in force. We just saw them in the backyard, and it's unclear if they've already made the entry into the home. We believe that perhaps they have. So if that's the case, we may start to see officers walking around inside through some of these windows. So I will keep my camera on there when we can, but I believe there's shutters there on the top window and then that smaller window, so I can kind of just take a peek there through the slider, which is how I knew it was open, because I could see the that it was slightly open, just big enough for someone to fit. And this is where we last saw the suspect. Again, when the pursuit came to an end, just off of Craig, just near Antelope, rather, but on Craig. I quickly punched in the IR technology and used Chopper 4 Alpha. Thank you. My pilot, David Viskovich, continuing to feed me some of the information that he hears from the police helicopter overhead, because he is in communication with them over the radios. And it sounds like they believe that the suspect may now be on the second story of this two-story home. So it looks like he's somehow made his way up to the upstairs portion of the home. Again, whether the residents are inside or not, that's still unclear. If they're not home, it's unclear if they have any type of surveillance footage for them to be able to monitor what's going on. Of course, the neighborhood knows what's going on now, and now that there is a large number of police vehicles now on their normally quiet street here in Menifee, Northmore Place with the cross of Greenview Way. There, the little street there that you see is Greenview Way, and then the street that you see with all of the police vehicles on it, that's going to be Northmore Place. So that's exactly where this is going on, very close to the 215 freeway. Some of the nearest major streets are going to be Antelope and Craig, where we saw the suspect driving. And when we were monitoring this police pursuit over the scanner, we heard that there were 2 suspects in the car. Now, it's what we typically do is we always follow the driver unless we know that the suspect is the passenger. But in this case, they were both suspects, both armed suspects, possibly robbery suspects, and assault with a deadly weapon suspects. And then we saw them perform an assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer with their vehicle during the course of the pursuit. So it's just what we typically do is we follow the driver. So I stayed with the driver. So at this point, I don't have any information on the status of the passenger, who again is also considered a suspect. So as soon as we hear any information about that additional person, if there is an additional person, we of course will bring you that information. You see that there are some people walking here. Those are not police officers. Those are going to be residents. I don't know that they're residents from the home in question or if they're residents from the home nearby. But now I'm pushing in here. It looks like this may be the suspect. So you see the officer, the sheriff's deputy, leading one individual here, and that may be the person they were looking for. When we saw him, it looked like he was not wearing a shirt, so he may have thrown on a shirt. But he is wearing shorts like what we saw. He may have tried to change, perhaps take some of the clothes from the home where he ran into. But just the build of the suspect does match the person that we saw run from the vehicle. So we may have the driver in custody. Again, whether the passenger is in custody, that is still unclear. But at least one person in custody here in Menifee.
Oh no!
We have the suspect running. Oh, this is going to be close.
To watch more heart-stopping car chases happening across Southern California, subscribe here. Thanks for watching. The Chase is on.